I'm Kate Fox, and welcome to Sometimes Adversity Isn't. Today, I am so excited to bring my guest to you. He is, he is rock and roll, a native New Yorker, Manhattan, and just a very long professional career, and he has done some great stuff with kids, and some great stuff with his son. And I have Pat Sommers of Pat Sommers Rock Shop joining me today. Hi, Pat.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
I'm
coming.
glad that we're here. No problem. I'm glad to be here. It's my honor, actually.
What I'd like you to do is, because I was reading your background and I just was sitting here going, wow, oh wow.
Right.
And if you could just tell us a little bit about your professional career, before you opened your school and started working with kids, how you got where you are today.
Perseverance, not giving up on what I wanted to do. I mean, it's like I tell the kids at my school, if there's anything that you want to do in this life, you can do it. You just have to persevere. And there's nothing that anybody, can't do, and that's something that I find kind of sad in a way, that people can do whatever they want to do. So that's where it started, where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a musician. I wanted to be a rock star. And I know that's a weird way to say it, but that's what I wanted to be, and that's what I was going to be. So it started out with me playing in bands when I was very young, 16 years old, even younger than that. But the first real bands that I had started, and got my first taste of kind of fortune and fame, or I don't know. People say, how does it feel to be rich and famous? And I tell them I know exactly what it's like to be famous.
And you've worked with a lot of people.
Yes, I have. I mean, that was the other thing, too, that I was lucky about. I was lucky to work with Ace Frehley of Kiss, and legend Roger Daltrey from The Who, Elliot Easton from The Cars, yeah, Al Greenwood from Foreigner, Ricky Byrd from Jones and the Black Hearts.
That's right.
And, these guys became my friends. Even being in a room with Richie Supa, who is an amazing songwriter. He wrote hits for Aerosmith. He wrote "It's Amazing," and he wrote "Chip Away at the Stone." And I was lucky enough to be in the room when he actually started playing it to me, just the bare bones of that song. And he said, "Me and Steve and Tyler haven't finished this yet," and I was like sitting there, just like. Oh. So if anybody thinks that I was just like hanging out with the rock stars, it wasn't like that. I was always pinching myself.
So you fangirl too.
Right. Right. And then I decided that the business was changing, and it was starting to deteriorate like it is now. The music business is not what it was 25 years ago. So I decided to go back to my roots and pick a band out of the newspaper, out of the Village Voice, and said, I want to make this band great, and I'm going to. And we became the second biggest band in New York City at the time, one under D-Generation, yeah. So, and then that went along for a while, and then I decided that I wanted to have a baby, because there's two things that I always wanted. Rock and roll was definitely one of them, but having a baby having a child was always important to me. And it was a boy, too. I thought it was going to be a girl, but he turned out to be a boy.
And he's a beautiful boy.
And he's a good kid. He's taking all my good looks, is what he's done. And Kellen was born, so I decided to retire. And that wasn't going to last long, because once you have that in you, it's not going anywhere. So I was going to come out. You're always going to be thinking about it. But it was more important to raise Kellen not being around that lifestyle, because it's not a lifestyle that a baby belongs in.
Okay, you know what I'd like to do is, we're going to take a break, and we're going to show a clip of Kellen performing with you.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely. And when we come back, we will talk a little bit more, about what you're doing now.
Okay, I'd love it.
We'll be right back. welcome back. We were just watching a clip of your son Kellen performing with you and your Rock Shop band. What I'd like you to do is maybe tell us a little bit about Kellen's diagnosis and the program you created once you realized how to reach him.
Well, Kellen was, born, normal little boy. Spoke just like any other child did, mommy, daddy, foods that he liked and all that kind of stuff. And, life was going on just as perfect as it could. And then one day he stopped. And I started noticing these kind of idiosyncrasies in him that I had never noticed before, which was something being out of line. If there was a line of toys and one was out of the line, or I pulled the toy away from them being out of the line, he would get very upset. And autism was not really a big thing back then. So, like every parent who finds out something like that, you tend to want to go to 100 doctors to find the one guy who says, no, everybody's wrong.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's good.
And we take him to, take him to Duke University, and they told us that he was, autistic, moderately autistic. And parents of autistic children will know this too. You kind of go into this little mourning period. I know that a lot of people don't like to admit that, but it's true. You do. You go into, because all of a sudden you think, well, he's never going to get married. I mean, when they diagnosed him, they handed me a list of what he wouldn't do. And this is why, and this is where the whole thing comes into play. He wouldn't love, he wouldn't this, he wouldn't be able to this. And I looked at that list and just pitied and felt sorry. For the first 2 years, I think I was just pitying that. And then I realized that I had to do something. If no one else was going to figure it out, it was going to be me. So I went out and bought him a. This is before the music thing happened. I went out and bought him a train set, and the only way to make this train run was to talk to it. So you had to tell the train where to go. So if you said schoolhouse, the train would say, "Let's go to the schoolhouse." So he started. He would say schoolhouse, and he would wear headphones and watch TV. And I was doing something in the house one day, and I thought I'd put on one of my favorite records, which is Queen, News of the World. And the We Will Rock You beat came out. And I just remember him slowly taking the headphones off and walking over to the stereo and just holding on to the speaker and listening really intently. Then him and I we were starting to communicate together. So it was him and I sharing our relationship through me putting on different types of music and him starting to speak to me and say, I want to hear. And I would say, what do you want to hear? And he would have to say, I want to hear Kiss, I want to hear Queen, I want to hear, I want to hear this, I want to hear that. And then he just started talking. It started coming into play. And then I moved and went back into the business again, full blast.
And you created the program at your school, The Magic in the Music. Am I saying that right? The Magic in the Music.
Right.
Yes.
Magic music. Right.
And you have that at your school, Pat Sommers Rock Shop.
Mm-hmm.
You have a full school. A full musical school.
Yeah.
You work with a lot of kids.
I work with kids, yeah.
And you give them the whole experience.
Absolutely.
But you do have that one program that also caters to autistic children, because it worked for you. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
That's exactly right. And if you could, it's not only about the music. I mean, each autistic kid is different. There's not one that's the same at all, but they have similar tendencies.
Okay, so there are programs here but they only sort of focus on one thing.
Right, they focused on one thing. I opened up the school for the talented musicians that were kids, but I did it differently. I took in kids who really wanted to play, who had
Which
heart.
is huge.
Right,
huge.
Right, it's not about what mommy and daddy likes. It's about what they like. And what started happening is Kellen started becoming their buddy, and they would. He'd walk through the door and, hey, Kellen, and I noticed that they were mingling with him. One to be, for me, of course, because he's my son. But the other one is that they actually loved his personality, and they loved being with him. And then Kellen started wanting to be part of Rock Shop. It was as simple as that. And then I thought, well, I know there's a bunch of kids out there, and I know there's a bunch of lost parents out there that don't know what to do. So I decided I was going to have a program and to help these kids learn their niche in life, whether it be music or anything else. Just to get them to be able to do something special and make their parents smile. I mean, every time Kellen does something, what I call amazing, it makes me feel like $1 million. It's just because I know I did the right job. I know I'm doing something right.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
huge. And he's beautiful. He is beautiful. I'm all flustered now. I'm thinking about this kid and just listening to him and watching him perform. It's amazing.
No, yeah,
it is.
It is.
And you work with a lot of kids, and like you said, they need to want to perform.
Right.
And you don't play games.
No.
So,
no.
I'm thrilled that we could bring this. I'm thrilled we could bring this to my audience today and talk about the Pat Sommers Rock Shop.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look into it, you can check out patsummersrockshop.com, and there's a whole lot of stuff you can check out. And he's just so cool, I can't stand it. Thank you for coming today.
I'm so happy to have been here, and I'm glad that we got together and got to do this. It's awesome.
Me too. I'm Kate Fox, and sometimes adversity isn't. Thank you.